All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Thank you again for joining us for another week of Unit Corner Club Live. This week I am joined by, excuse me, I got choked up. This week I'm joined by only one co-host, that is Carnal Conservative, and we have one friend who has joined us who goes only by AD because he wants to be anonymous. The other two guests I had scheduled for this week had to back out, as well as our other co-host Kizza GT, but all for good reasons. They are work-related, and everyone needs work in these trying times. So what I'm going to do is today we're going to pass it over to Carnal Conservative, and then we're going to have AD introduce himself, and then I'm going to introduce the first topic of the day. Hello, everybody in the chat. We'll be getting to you shortly, but right now we're going to turn it over to Carnal. Take it away, Carnal.
Hello. And that is my child in the background.
That's okay with me. I don't mind kids. You go ahead and talk over it. It'll be just fine. We're all family people here.
Yeah, she had a trip and fall.
Oh, I guess he had to go handle that. He didn't say so. I'm going to go ahead and take the reins back. Well, while he handles his self-destructive child, AD, how about you tell us about yourself and tell us the topic you'd like to talk about today, if any.
Hello. Yeah, I'm AD. I like long walks on the beach. I like to climb trees, ooga booga, and I like to play Minecraft.
You a Minecraft junkie?
Yes, I guess so.
Cool. I know a lot of people are really big into it. I played it a little while back when it came out. It was pretty cool. And from what I see, it's definitely changed a lot over the years. It's pretty cool now. I know you can do a tremendous amount of stuff with it. Anything in particular about Minecraft you like? You want a particular type of server that you enjoy or want to share?
Well, when I play Minecraft, when I used to play it, it was on Xbox where I could have my own private server, and I was the dictator of a kingdom. But it's like really boring if it's orderly, so I let them do anything they want outside of the kingdom. And we had this region called Runga Runga, and it was just chaos because it was a spawn zone.
Okay.
And they would destroy things, and then I had like slaves and some weird kinky rules for my kingdom, and a big red flag with like a sword and a pickaxe or something.
Okay, let's check in with Carnal, see how he's doing. Carnal still got himself muted, and I think he's AFK. I hope his kid's okay. This is not a good start for the stream, but that's all right. That's all right. We'll roll with it. I'm going to wait on starting the first topic I wanted to vent about, because it's mostly just going to be me bitching. But Carnal Conservative is really going to enjoy it, because it's going to be something he also likes to bitch about. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this moment here at the first of the stream to share some links to people that I would like to advertise that are part of the white positive sphere. First and foremost, I'm going to share where you can find Carnal Conservative's work. I'm going to share that in the chat. We'll go ahead and get that going. And then, of course, this stream comes before the Friday night Chuck Martell's Garage Party over on Jason No White Guilt's channel. Go ahead and come over there and join us tonight. That'll be in a few hours for community-made music, community-made comedy sketches, where we get together and just have a good time laughing and listening to music together. That is there. And now we have someone with us today in the chat, Traversing the Divide. He makes excellent music, and you can find his content here. Thank you for joining us today, Traversing the Divide. If For Null wasn't at work, he would also be joining us. For Null makes excellent music as well. And you can find his content here. And I'm going to share a few more. Imminent Rain, excellent creator that's often featured on Chuck Martell's Garage Party tonight. And then Hiraeth Music, or Hiraeth Music. I'm not sure how to say that. That's a Welsh word. You'll have to ask her how to say it. But she makes beautiful music too. She's oftentimes featured. And then we have two more links. We have some beautiful European folk music. as well as some legible dark metal or heavy metal. I am not a metal expert. I can't accurately identify metal music, but this is very gothic and heavy to my ears, but you can actually understand the lyrics, so I like it. We have a few other creators.
I'm back.
Oh, good. Frank has returned. I'll share the other creator links later. That's something that you should all check out when you can. It definitely give a look to Traversing the Divide, because he's here with us today. Welcome back, Carnal. I was just going through some community share links today.
Yeah, that's
The first thing I want to bitch about today is how I've been having to go out into the public a lot, especially since lockdown insanity's been threatening to lift up. I've been having to help a loved one go to the hospital a lot. I've had to be exposed to a lot of regular news media, a lot of regular radio, and I am sickened by the amount of commercials, advertising, radio DJs, regular news that I just happen to catch at the hospital or waiting to pick people up. It seems like there is such a ridiculous cathedral-supporting anti-white narrative afoot that I want to vomit. Commercials talking about we're all in this together, do your part, wear your mask. There's people talking about, oh, well, we just need to wait for a vaccine. We all need to do the right thing, social distance, and wear a mask. And meanwhile, the dozens of creators I follow, people with millions of followers on Parler, or not single accounts of millions of followers, but in toto, millions of people sharing information from thousands of medical professionals talking about hydroxychloroquine, talking about how the figures just don't add up to the scare and the fear-mongering around the pandemic. Then you've got the riots. You've got people telling lie after lie after lie about the federales arresting people violently, and all these lies about Trump being a dictator trying to enact martial law. And it's not just coming from left-wing crackpots. It's coming out of commercials. It's coming out of the radio in the car. It's everywhere around us. And all of these lies, all of this ugly fugue of a dream that we're having to live in is infuriating to me. And I wanted to vent about that this week. So now that I have taken a shot just to vent about all this nonsense, either of you two want to add anything to that? I'll pass it over to either of you.
Well, honestly, I look at it and I see it because at work I'm forced to watch MSNBC, and it's just like, oh, I know no one watches you anymore. Why you need to like be on at my work instead of like in the homes of America? They are.
Yeah. It's been a bloodbath in ratings. CNN and MSNBC have been crashing.
Oh, it's and you know why? Because it's unpalatable unless you're an ideologue. But I look at all of I look at what you see, and honestly, it's them flailing. They're flailing. Like they have to push it this hard, or else it's not having any effect. And what they're going to find out is most of us are on YouTube. Most of us are on. We're not watching any of the normie crap anymore. Like we're on Roku. We're not on like television. So I think that you going out and seeing like what the normies or what the cathedral wants you to see, I think that's like the minority experience nowadays.
Well, and here's the other thing. And AD, we can get to you in a minute, but when it comes to the people I have to be around, older people, middle-aged people, normal working class folks, oftentimes I'll see them ignore the TV, mute it, change the channel on the radio when news comes on. It seems like people have become just inundated with the lies and the outrage that people are just becoming numb to it. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because I don't want people to become numb. I want people to wake the hell up and start realizing that we are being lied to on purpose by people who want to, subvert our society and our government. So anyway, AD, do you have any input on that? Do you experience the same when you go out in the world every day?
Yeah, every day they want me to wear a mask in the store. The barber shop opened up, and thankfully this time it didn't take any militiamen like standing at the door. No MRAPs had to show up. Shit. But well, that happened once.
Oh damn!
They were getting set up with the lockdown because like, oh yeah, for your safety, you have to become homeless and starve on the street. Trust me, you need to be safe, clean. Oh, what, you can't be clean while you're homeless? Oh, well, I don't know.
I gotta love that propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they run out of money. Like whoever, or I guess I'm not sure if they need money anymore. If they get their money from their views anymore, like the mainstream media.
Well, it's actually weird because I got into an argument with a friend, and they had posted this video where it's discovered that masks only work, allegedly, again, allegedly, masks only work if you're the one with the virus and you're using the mask to prevent yourself from infecting others. I'm like, oh, great. So now we're
Like
telling
coughing.
people, we're telling people you must wear the mask so that it protects me.
Well,
I'm just like, that's not good enough.
Here's the thing that makes me mad, right? Here's the thing that makes me angriest about this. You have different mayors and different governors and different clusters of people around America all wanting to enact different levels of what works, what doesn't, what you have to do, and it's creating conflict. Like the obvious examples are you can't go to church, but you can go out into the street with a throng of violent dindus and burn down a city building.
God.
It's like that kind of shit is like the extreme. But the non-extreme part of it is like around here, there are some restaurants that don't require you to wear a mask. Others do. Some places where you go that are public transit or hospitals, they don't make you wear a mask, but they enforce social distancing. And some, even in the same hospital, they don't enforce masks or they don't enforce social distancing or a mix of the two. Uh-oh, it says I'm off on entropy. Let's try this again. I'm going to try to get the stream going again.
Is the stream off?
It's,
No, we're still live.
No, it's on entropy because I like people to be able to post questions on entropy.
Okay.
Oh, it stays.
So I can keep talking?
It automatically logged me out of my YouTube account over there. I was idle for too long. Everybody that wants to pose us questions in the question widget over on Entropy, I have reinitialized the live feed over on Entropy. It should be working now. So give it a few seconds and refresh, and it should be functional. So sorry about that, everybody.
Okay. So I had something to say about the mask thing. Some people think like a part of the mask thing is facial recognition software needs help scanning your face, even if you're wearing something to cover your face. But like there's still a problem for them, and it's if you wear the balaclava and the power shut right off. Oh yeah, that what is it? It's that round cylindrical structure on the power line. That thing, a hole goes in it. Oh, power's out. Now your cameras aren't going to be scanning faces. Yeah, the transformer. Yeah, it can't scan people's faces if the power is out. So I mean, like,
Wait. I must be missing it. What are you saying?
Oh, sorry. I go off on a tangent sometimes. Sometimes I go off on a tangent,
okay.
but like
that's okay.
Let me bring it up back to the point. The point was that some people think that part of this is for the facial recognition software to get used to people wearing masks, and it can require less of your face and just the shape of your skull to recognize you, and perhaps your height and the way you walk.
Well, from what I understand about facial recognition software, it's primarily the eyes anyway. So I don't know if the mask would interfere that much with it. But welcome, Spear. Spear, you're not late. We just started a few minutes ago, and we had an unexpected occurrence with Carnal's child. So we're just now getting started. We're talking about lockdown insanity and COVID nonsense. But another thing that I really hate about the masks and vaccine talk and the social distancing and all that is it's based on goddamn falsehoods. And the amount of censorship around anyone who says boo against the New World Order narrative, like anybody who comes out and says, well, you know, I think these numbers are wrong, or I work in medicine, and the last 10,000 patients that we've had through our hospital, nope, censored, silenced, banned. They get called crackpots. They get called conspiracy theorists. Their whole streams get taken down. Their whole channels get shut down. They get blocked or shadow banned on Twitter. They get taken down on Facebook. Like videos with millions and millions of views of actual medical professionals talking about how the lies about COVID are lies. The social media powers in Silicon Valley, they're squashing them. They're eliminating them. And then you've got regular people who don't know any better. Regular people that are mayors and aldermen and people that run small businesses. They're not like us. They don't have time to sit around listening to 10 hours of YouTube a day and staying keen to the pulse of things. All they know is what randomly filters to them through the channels and shit that they listen to. So they're all basing our society right now on just this massive misinformation campaign. And it's actively and real information about COVID and everything connected to it is being suppressed by the Silicon Valley elite. And I don't really know how to fight it other than just everybody in my social life. I tell everybody, hey, did you know A, B, C, and D are lies? Did you know about this stream? Here's a BitChute link. Here's a link to something on Parler. So that's the only way that I've been fighting it. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I have a feeling that all of this censorship nonsense is just preparing us for what comes next. This year, it's get people used to wearing a mask. Next year, it's get people used to having to take a vaccine before they can go shopping. Then at the end of the year, it's get used to having people wearing masks and having a vaccine before they're allowed to go to school. Then it's before you're allowed to work. Then it's you have to implant this chip in your hand before you're allowed to even participate in public. It's like, this is what this is all headed towards. And I really want people to realize what a slippery slope this could be. And the reason, I know I'm talking a lot right now, but I've been pissed all week. The reason that this shit makes me mad is I'm sick and tired of people telling me that the slippery slope thing is just a fallacy and it makes me sound crazy. It's not fucking crazy. Go back to the 80s and 90s. We'll use LGBT activists for an example. We'll use abortion as an example. Safe, legal, and rare. Don't ask, don't tell. Keep it in your bedroom. Who I want to fuck in my own time is my own business. And then what did people that were conservative about the law around it say? Well, we have to be careful if we adjudicate and make laws that open up things for gay stuff, that open up rights for children to be taught gay stuff. If we start loosening the bonds around abortion and don't treat it as harshly as we do, well, it'll get worse. No, you're just being a bigot. You're being a backwards conservative. You're being a retarded religious person. Okay, well then what happened? Then the 90s, and then pride parades got out of hand, and then you've got children decorated in dildos breakdancing on the street with adults throwing money at them. It's like, the slippery slope thing, it's not a fallacy, it's a fucking truism in every way that we can see. You give them an inch, they take a mile. You let them in with tolerance, then they want forced equality, then they want dominance, then they want to force you to be like them or else. And it's been happening that way with this madness of cathedral push for the last 20 or 30 years. And I don't think that this COVID nonsense is any different. This is a way that the powers that be, these globalist assholes, the elites from Brussels, people like Soros, people like Bill Gates, they want us all to be afraid and to just do as we're told. So whatever interesting doodad or fake science they come up with to make us march to their tune, they really think that we're going to do it. And so far, they're right because we've been letting them do it. God. Anyway, take it away. I'm going to pass it back to one of you two. I'm going to mute myself for a minute.
Ooga booga.
Go ahead, man.
Shit, I lost my train of thought, but one thing that I'm hearing from like one of my family members is it's science. It's not if you believe what they're saying, it's science. But then like you said, they're ignoring other people's science or how science actually works. Where you have to have an experiment.
Well, and it's not only that. Just from my side of it, I hardly know anyone who takes this mask stuff seriously. It's a work requirement. It's not like a health advisory. Like it's literally something.
Then why do so many businesses, even here in rural America, like so many people still do it? It makes me mad. Like here's an example: a small mart, which I won't name. It's like a Dollar General or one of the regular dollar stores mixed with a grocery store. They're all across rural America. One of them that I go to, they have a big placard on the front: observe social distancing and wear masks when you enter. I go in, half the people in there are not social distancing, and almost nobody's wearing a mask. I look at the lady who's at the register. She's wearing a mask. And I say, do I really have to wear a mask? Are you going to deny me service if I don't wear a mask? And she just laughs and goes, nah, we just put that up. And I'm like, if you don't care and why put it up at all? Like this is what makes me just so mad about this mind cancer that's fed to us. People that don't even agree with it go along with it. We shouldn't do that. We should socially put our foot down and say, no, enough of this insanity coming from the top down, and we just refuse to participate.
1 second. if you just say no, they'll have the police kicking down your door. Like, you guys shut down your business. They'll start harassing your employees and your.
No, not here. Not where I live. It ain't like that here. In bigger cities, yeah, maybe, or in some states, but not here.
Yeah, I'm here in Texas, where for some odd reason our governor got retarded and wanted and put a reset on the whole mask mandate for absolutely zero reason. Like there's no reason why we should be going in that direction. He just decided that because the mainstream media decided to advertise certain numbers and certain figures, all of a sudden we have to start wearing masks again, like it's a goddamn religion. But honestly, I think it's ultimately it's the governors. It's your individual state leader that's mandating what your business has to do because of COVID, and it's mostly a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, it is a religion, my dude. That's like the whole point. The whole point
You're
is
talking about the church woke on this cathedral.
No, the mainstream media said something. You have to believe them. They're your overlord. They're the mouth of the state or whatever. If you don't believe, you're bad or something.
No, that's what we mean when we say cathedral, because it's kind of like the mainstream media and the leftist, globalist mouthpiece leaders and stuff. It's like they're the new preachers. They're the new priests, and what they say is kind of becomes the dogma. That's why we call it the cathedral.
Does that mean that they also have a certain affinity for young?
Well, no, come on. Let's not do that. Let's move on.
Don't get too close to the truth, sir. Your wings will burn.
Be careful. I don't want to be the next one who didn't kill herself. So be careful.
Yeah, you packing, yeah?
You'll commit suicide by a double tap.
Nah, man, just stay strapped. Just stay strapped.
Oh, hey, Knack.
Yeah, I just noticed that old Knack popped in to say hello. Or hello, as it were. Hello, Knack. I hope that you have a good rest, and thank you for stopping by. Always appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you coming by to the stream. Hello to everyone. We have Birdie and Angelfish, and we also have the real Mega Buster. Well, that's interesting. Let's put that comment on screen there. That's cool. Real Mega Buster even has an interesting icon, talking about the horror show of California. We've got Vex. We've got our friend Zen. The lovely Elaine Sabatino, my good friend Elaine Sabatino. Thank you for joining us today, my friend. And we've got several others. Oh, even Spear of Sagittarius, I believe, is here too. If I said that correctly. Is it Sagittarius? Yeah, Sagittarius. Spear of Sagittarius. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I'll be quiet for a minute and let you two talk. Take it away, Carnal or AD.
Oh, well, I am, as some of you may or may not know, I actually was raised in California. And the shit shows surrounding what California is doing to churches, and, well, not just California, but Nevada as well. The whole Ninth Circuit is completely foobar on religious liberty right now, and it's actually kind of sad. Like, we're getting to the point to where people haven't been able to attend funerals. They haven't. Like, there's no community for anyone outside of. And this is what you realize that the push is. There's no community. There's no outreach for anyone but leftists. Like, if you're not on the left, you have no right to any community, any outreach, any support whatsoever. And it's getting a little crazy. And you see that.
Crazy?
Huh?
Getting crazy?
Oh, no, it's been crazy because you have the, like, they're not letting anyone that. They're not letting any religious influence through at all.
Say that again, my dude. You're cutting out.
Yeah, they're not allowing any religious influence at all.
I mean, is religious
what do you mean,
influence
not
kind of
allowing?
like a tradition at this point, right?
Well, it's like you can't gather for a service. You can't go listen to a sermon. You can't. There's a case in Nevada that the Supreme Court refused to hear, in which you could have a casino open at 50% capacity, but the local church couldn't have.
Am I the only one that's hearing him go?
Hello?
Am I disconnecting?
That's just you, AD. You've got a very unstable connection. You've come and gone a few times.
Okay.
That's just you. Me and Carnal seem to have pretty stable connection.
Okay, that's me. Yeah, that makes sense. That's my internet.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's okay.
Fair enough. So, but yeah, there was a Supreme Court. They refused to hear a case where the church was appealing because the state had said that a casino could go out at 50% capacity during COVID, not a problem. But for some odd reason, a church couldn't have more than 50 people.
Yeah. What's up with that? Like, it's another thing that makes me mad.
It's just insanity. It's just complete, utter insanity. Like, why on it's a fucking casino. You're dealing cards. You're passing drinks around. And 50% capacity in a casino is a lot of people. Like, that is a lot of people. That's a ridiculous amount
definitely.
of people. And I don't know a place where germs travel faster than a casino with money and cards and the drinks changing
people
hands.
Are packed in there. They're touching chips. They're touching cards. They're getting booze.
They're
having a good old time. And also casinos are rife with casual sex. That's another great way to spread disease.
Oh, have you seen Canada's advisory for sex workers during the time of COVID? Oh, it is hilarious. Like I had to cut off that particular rant because I found out that they had a sex worker relief fund. They're paying hookers money for not tricking. I died.
What?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I should go there. I should go there, pretend to be a hooker. And
man, Canada's got such problems. Canada's cucked and retarded.
Oh my gosh.
God, I feel bad for Canada.
So, we should just hear that again.
Make it another 10 states.
They're paying hookers to not have sex, right?
Yep.
Who's stopping me from showing up saying I'm a gigolo and then they pay me to do nothing?
I don't know, and I don't want to go down that avenue. That's terrible. That just sounds awful.
You might have to establish your credentials. That would be my one apprehension.
Yeah, they might ask to see proof of the long list of men that have paid you for sex. All right. Let's move on to something else now, because we're at half an hour mark. Carnal, AD, do you have a topic to proffer? Something else you'd like to talk about today?
I was pretty sure I did. Let's see if I remember what it was.
I wanted to talk about the upcoming election and election fraud this year.
Oh, actually,
talk about that?
I have something funny.
Let's go in that direction. Go on with the funny.
Well, yeah, go ahead, AD. What you got?
Oh, yeah, the funny is, so my whole political stance is stay strapped or get clapped. So
yeah,
what they've been doing is rioting in the streets, burning down cities, saying get rid of the police. After they used the police to enforce their COVID shit, that now they want to disband them. Okay, and then they want to pass new rules about how you can pack heat. You know, they want to pass new anti-gun laws. I mean, I don't even understand them really. Like, I'm packing. How are you going to tell me how to pack?
Yeah.
Well, no. Let's just all take a moment and celebrate the fine example of why libertarians suck in Garrett Foster. No, seriously. Well, what a fantastic example of why no one should ever take libertarians seriously. Like,
okay, go on.
This guy is apparently like an ACAB, all cops are bastards kind of like an anarchist, like a libertarian anarchist who really just wanted to stick the power to the man. He had an AK-47 and decided to point that AK-47 at a vehicle in Austin, Texas while he was marching. What he did not know is that we have, or what he did not appreciate, is the castle doctrine. If you feel threatened within your vehicle is your castle, and you do not have a duty to retreat. So if you point a rifle at a man's vehicle, he can shoot you, and he got shot 4 times, and he died.
Yeah.
And here he was marching with his quadriplegic black girlfriend, saying "F the cops, F authority." There's social media posts of him celebrating that cops are getting blinded, and meanwhile, he is like the perfect, like, actually libertarian for the left that just
Excuse me, do you say quadriplegic? They have no working limbs.
Yeah,
she was actually a quadruple amputee. Like, it was really sad. It was messed up.
Yeah,
like she has one limb or
none. Like she is.
How are you going
to
Did he bring her there? Did he bring her to this event?
She was in a wheelchair, of course. She wasn't like in a papoose or something. She was on a chair.
How can you bring them to this event? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yep.
Fucking corpse.
As I said, he's a libertarian, and he's just the perfect example of all things wrong with libertarians.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of problems in the libertarian camp that and like it stinks because at heart I'm very libertarian, but the problem is with how badly things have gotten out of control. We don't have a reliable, safe society through which to attempt to build a better libertarian society. We can't do that because we have powerful agencies outside of our control of the country that want to subvert us and take away our money and control our markets and all this other crap. You can't push for libertarian stuff in that environment or you'll just get consumed and destroyed. So it's like, it's in a lot of ways, people like me who are ANCAPs at heart that want ANCAPistan or something like, Heinlein's Libertopia, we are just as much utopians as people who want, peaceful space communism. Because in the world that we occupy, we can't make those ideas manifest because we'll just be destroyed by people who are better organized and have greater power. So that's why I became a national Unitarian type person and moved over to the nationalist movement, because I don't have a future for what I would like to see grow in the world or for the West if I don't actually try to save the West. And the libertarian camp that I was part of, like the ANCAPs and the libertarian right, their solution for everything is let's just get more guns, let's prepare for the collapse. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want to just build from the ashes. I want to actually protect what we have. I don't want our cathedrals destroyed and our systems that are actually good, that our ancestors bled and died for. I don't want all that to be for naught. So that's why I've moved over to being part of the nationalist cluster now, is because I want to actually have a chance at a better, more libertarian future, and I don't see any other avenue to do that other than right-wing nationalism and having a much stronger, more cohesive, collective identity as sort of right-leaning, Western-loving people.
Yeah, we have some niche we have some niche pieces of technology that are rather advanced. We need to keep in production. I mean, once you fall, it's hard to get back up, especially if everyone in the world wants to eat your flesh, drink your blood, and parasite off of you, invade you. Like, I personally am afraid of, like, the Civil 2. Like, what happens when we're done and, like, China invades or something?
Yeah.
Because we just destroyed our own infrastructure with all this infighting. So I'm kind of happy that the left is destroying their cities right now.
Me
kind
too.
of offing each other, because if they're all doing that to each other, like, they're all in prison or something, they're all, like, injured, blinding each other with lasers, pepper spray. I hope they destroy each other. So, well, it's going to sound terrible. It's Fed posting, but I don't have to.
All right. Hey, guys, I actually have to duck out.
Oh, do you?
I do. It's actually, I actually have to help out. Things are getting pretty hectic over here.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks, but I'm glad you're here for at least a while. Always glad to have you. We'll see you next time. Let me check Entropy and see if there's any questions for you before you bounce out. Give me just a second. No, there are no questions for you. So we will go
All
ahead
right.
and say goodbye to the Cardinal Conservative.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Before you bounce, I'm going to share your channel. You can go ahead and go.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to go ahead and share your channel. We will see you next week. All right. All right. He's having trouble. Something with his kid. Like his kid got hurt, and the mom had to go. So I don't know what it is. I'll read the message later. I saw the pop up. But regardless, it's just me and you now, AD. So
I hope I didn't fed post too hard.
No, you're good.
I do work
We're
for
gonna
UNESCO.
we're gonna take questions from the community a little early. We'll do that in about 15 minutes. And since it's just the two of us, we're not going to do a full 2-hour stream this time. We'll wrap it up a little early. Excuse me.
Fly this drone.
You're hoping to what?
To fly this drone. So yeah,
yeah, that's
cool.
right. Well, let's change subjects. Tell us about the kind of drone stuff that you're into and what you use drones for.
Oh yeah. I've got a cheap drone. Let me look. It's by Hubson. Let me make sure to read this damn Hubson. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is a Hubson drone. They did that weird thing where they take a letter and they make it into a fucking logo, so I can barely read what they put on it. Because I know it's not Yub San. It must be. So it's like a cheap drone where it doesn't involve my phone and it has its own little controller with a screen in it.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to actually be able to use the screen, and you actually it's a law that you have to have a license to have the drone out of sight. So I haven't even gotten to that point where I can have it out of sight and operate it just looking at the screen, because I have to be looking at it because I'm a noob. It's gonna crash if I'm not looking at it.
Okay. We have a newcomer. We have Zen Chan. Zen Chan, if you want to be on to talk about the UK, we actually have Vex, who I don't know if Vex wants to be on voice as well. Vex, do you want to get on voice and actually talk about the message you sent on Entropy? We can pull both of you on. We can chew the fat about the UK. Would you like that? Ooh woo to you too woo, Zen Chan. Hello, Alex. Alex is one of my loyal Israelites. He's been with me for a while.
Listening on the bus.
Listening on the bus. The bus. It's been a messy week. It's been hard to get people to for the stream today. I had one person lined up who had to duck out for work, and one of my co-hosts, Kizza, had to duck because he had to do more work for a project. And then both of the backup guests that I scheduled earlier in the week had to duck out, one for family reasons and another one for work. So
yeah, I've got no life, so
it's been rough trying to build a show this week.
I've got no life.
Carl's kid got hurt and he had to leave. So Christ, what a mess. All right. Yeah. Zen Chan, are you the one that just messaged me on Discord with the name that starts with the letter H? Okay. All right. I'll send you a link and you can go ahead and hop on. And we are going to see if we can get Zen Chan on. Zen Chan, we use StreamYard, so it should be pretty easy for you to join. It doesn't require much setup there.
Hold on. Is he from the UK?
Vex. Probably.
Vex. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if they can
Vex,
talk about like politics.
Vex, do you want to hop on voice as well? Oh, that's okay. It's fine. We'll see if Vex wants to hop on as well. That's another. Vex is another UKer, I think.
Yeah. Can people from the UK talk about politics in the UK without getting arrested?
Yeah, they just got to be careful what. They just language police pretty hard. Okay, Vex can't get on. All right, we're gonna see if we've got if we can pull on Zen Chan here, because I'd like to have on somebody that's not one of the usuals. That's what I try to do every week, is have on at least one new person. Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, but I mean new to the community. I've been new for a long time, so and we've spent hours talking on Discord about random shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to take this time while we wait for our newcomer to join. I'm going to pimp the music channels again. I'm going to share a few of these. Definitely. Okay.
You get money for that?
We'll go with 37. I like 37. We'll do that. I like the number 37. And while we are getting Zen Chan set up, I'm going to go ahead and keep sharing some wonderful music creators in the white positive sphere. These men and women love the West, and they're not ashamed to say it. And they make beautiful music that you should check out. And I don't know if you would consider heavy metal music to be beautiful or not, but Blood of Tyrants makes good metal. I don't know if it's an insult to call metal beautiful, so I might have to eat those words. All right, we do have Zen Chan, so I'll go ahead and popped on. Zen Chan, my friend, go ahead and test your mic.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I quiet?
Welcome.
I look quiet from the little sound waves.
No, you look good. You sound good. Everything seems fine. So, what did you want to talk about as far as the UK goes, or do you want to take a moment and tell us about yourself, or would you prefer to stay anonymous?
No, it's I'm happy to be sort of like half anonymous in the same way I normally am. It's not like this is a Sargon size stream.
Right, it's little.
I'm a youngin from the northeast.
And you sound like a Northlander.
Yeah. It's weird. We get mixed. People get me mixed up with my best friend, but we live like cities away. So apparently the northeast sounds very similar to people who aren't from here.
Oh, really?
It's one of them funny things. Like me and my best friend, when we're in person, we sound very different, but over mic, we're apparently near identical to other people.
Oh, interesting.
So it's weird. But yeah, I'm a youngin. I've not really done much with my life. I am me. The sort of like floating around in the sort of the Sargon and the SFO sort of like communities and learning about politics is basically all I've really done. So I'm very much just a person on the ground.
Give me just a second. I have to address something in chat that might be relevant. Bertie, are you asking for the Discord server that I run? Do you want to be a part of my specific server? Is that what you're asking for?
I should pop.
I think that's what he's asking
see the chat.
And also, if you now that we have you on Zen Chan, you probably know you have to mute the stream if you don't want to hear double.
Oh yeah.
Double voices. Okay. All right. That is the Discord link to my Discord server, and I will be deleting it shortly because I don't want everybody to spam the link and have a bunch of new entries. Because I try to keep my Discord server really small, and I like to limit it to people that I know and have talked to before. So
I'll hop in.
And I know who Bertie is. We've talked several times. So now that Bertie has the link, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. There we go.
I've kind of stuck in there as well while it was there.
That's fine. Novus, you can join if you want, but for all of you that are going to join that I don't know well, I do require a voice interview to talk to you and get to know you a little bit in person before I let you stay. So, Novus, you are welcome to join, but for all the new people, I will be trying to spend at least 5 or 10 minutes with you in the next few days to talk to you and get to know you before I decide if you can stay or not. Anyway, we have a message, a question over on the question widget on Entropy, which I shall link again. If you want to ask the panel questions or give us a few dollars of a tip, you can do so via a super chat over on Entropy. One of my loyal Israelites, Vex, asked a question. Have you heard about the UK's sudden second lockdown for the north of England only? This is in response to a rise in quote-unquote cases, and the media is angry it interferes with the EID.
Yes, I've heard
now,
of this.
That's excellent because I have not. Tell me first, and the other people here, what the EID is, what that means.
I don't know entirely much. Oh, hang on. Were you doing that not as a censorship thing? I thought that was you censoring yourself. No, sorry. It's Eid. It's a religious day of celebration. I don't
know what the hell it means. What is it? What thing is it?
Okay, I will admit, I'm a very white boy. I knew only white people growing up. I don't know what it is. I can do a bit of Googling for you, though.
Don't use Google. No, don't give them any traffic. Use something else.
No,
use DuckDuckGo.
No. Well, I do use DuckDuckGo.
It's a Muslim festival. No, you don't have to censor yourself talking about Muslims here. The only thing you've got to censor here is FedPost talk about the small hats. That's the only thing that'll get us banned. So be careful what you say about the small hats.
I've noticed that because I can't remember what I said, but I was in a Hari and Gladiv live stream chat, and I posted something and it never showed up on his end.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you gotta be really careful. Like
it was invisible.
Like, you have to be careful naming the Fed post here, because if you name them directly, the comment will get removed. It will never post in the first place, or it can even get an entire stream shut down. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So be very careful with those words. But regardless, it's a Muslim religious festival, so please continue.
So I know that the Muslims do a thing where they basically half-starve themselves, eating just the bare minimum for, I think, an entire month. Yes, that's what I'm understanding here. And the ending of that is Eid, where they then just enjoy themselves and sort of like have like almost a reward for having done that. Again, I'm just going off of Wikipedia for information, but essentially it's a time when lots and lots of people connect with each other and are meeting each other in person. Now, I only know so far as what I saw from a radio this morning. If you're wanting to know stuff about like sort of UK news, hang on, what time zone are you in? Because this actually might be a problem.
I'm Eastern Standard Time. I'm Eastern Standard
Time. Right. Eastern Standard Time.
I think that's UTC minus 4 or 5 right now, because daylight savings time fucks everything up. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, at about 10 a.m., there's a gentleman on YouTube. I'll send you the link in the DMs. But basically, there's a sort of half. It's not quite an indie radio show, but it's a radio show that's only online. It's not like on our radios. You can't listen to it in your car. And it's called
I know what that is.
Yeah, and it's called Talk Radio. And the gentleman who runs the whoa.
Oh, sorry, I was breathing.
Yeah, the gentleman who runs the 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. British time slot, who's a gentleman called Mike Graham. He tends to talk quite openly about this kind of stuff. You'd probably quite like him. He often hosts Peter Hitchens, and the Talk Radio's been one of the few radio or any news anything that's like, not just like Sargon level, sort of like indie, that's been actually speaking out against the lockdown. So it's good sort of like information to learn if you want to like ever, tune in, check up on what's going on. But from what I understand, actually, he actually had a theory. He stated that he believes that, and I can't quote this veracity, but it's of his opinion that they actually did this lockdown specifically because of Eid. It's not in spite of it, because Eid is a thing where everyone comes together and they spend time with each other. So they realized, shit, if there's any time that a second lockdown is going to kick off, it's going to be this. Because you may have heard that apparently the minority communities have been getting hit pretty hard by COVID, allegedly. I always put allegedly there because I don't believe a damn thing that the big sources tell me. So, but it's a combination of a multitude of things. One being that they just generally have a lot of health problems. The other one being, and I've seen this from like genuine footage, they did not give a shit about the lockdown. Have you seen the street parties that just haven't been broken up?
Me personally, no.
Well, online.
Maybe Vex has, because Vex is the one that asked this question. Vex is in the chat.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's been like full-on street parties by I shall say minorities, because it was months ago that I saw one of them happening, but no, they do not give two shits about the sort of the lockdown in the slightest. So I think the powers that be may have seen Eid coming up and gone, "Ooh, that's a roll the dice we don't like to take," and just kind of put a pin in it. Now, we did have a minor lockdown recently in Leicester, but this is a much larger one. It's I believe it went over multiple cities in the north. Not for me. It's not quite hit my area of the north, thankfully.
Okay.
Yet. I can have a look on Boris's Twitter to see what the exact announcement was.
Well, while that's going on, I would like to address something in the chat. I shared a link to my short series called Deep Double Analysis. And yes, that I chose those words for a specific reason. Funny. But Deep Double Analysis are where I make lengthy videos where I specifically dive into important topics that are sensitive to talk about, like Islamophobia, demographic change, that kind of shit. And I've got 3 really good videos, and I'm working on a 4th one for that series. So someone in the chat named The Real Megabuster is new to me and new to this cluster. So those are some good videos for some serious deep dives into what's going on with me. I'm going to share 2 other playlists for you. One is one of my most popular types of videos. They're called my morning walks. It's called Going Free with Yizz Morning Walk series. And it's where I take short little morning walks in the beautiful woods and nature around where I live. And they're usually only like 4 to 10 minutes long. And I just show you the beautiful nature around here, and I talk about a simple topic or say uplifting, white-pilling things. So that playlist I'll be sharing in just a second. Here we go. Okay. The first one I shared was the deep double analysis. Here is my morning walks with Yizz. And the last thing that I will share, hold on just a second, it's called Yizz Talks. And these are 4 videos where I make short, concise statements about topical things. So this will be the last playlist. Now, the Real Mega Buster and others that might be new to me specifically, if not this community, these 3 playlists will basically tell you what I'm about, the kind of things I care about, and definitely let you know if I'm somebody that you're going to want to learn more about. So I didn't mean to steal your thunder there, Zen-chan, but thank you very much for addressing the topic that Vex wanted to talk about. Now, Vex, I'm assuming that you bring this up because in response to arising cases, the media is angry that it interferes with this religious thing. Now, I don't know what you mean by the media being angry. Do you mean that the media is angry that it interferes with their lies? Is that what you're talking about? I'm assuming so. Is because it hurts their narrative?
I was about to say, is this Vex you're asking, not me?
Yeah, this is Vex. I wanted Vex to answer the chat because he's here. And remember, there's a 5 to 10 second delay, so it takes a little bit for them to respond.
Yeah, I have the actual announcement. And literally, all it says is following an increase in cases. But I mean, I'll be honest. Just from personal anecdote, I have not met anyone who I have seen confirmed to have it. My girlfriend's grandmother, I think it was a relative like that, had it, and she passed through it mostly fine. I suspect I actually had it back in February.
Yeah, I had it in February also. So did my mother. My mother and I both had it.
It was only a suspicion because I was just off work for a week, feeling like absolute hell, and that's it. And it was just after they'd started whispering about this being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't quite there wasn't quite, oh god, it might be here yet. It was mostly just like people laughing and going, haha, wouldn't it be funny if that had actually happened? And then about a month later, we were all locked in our houses.
Yeah, I know.
That was hell.
I came down with something. I think it was the last week of January, first week of February. And my mother and I, it was like we had a really bad cold or flu that we couldn't get rid of for like a month. And I didn't have any bad lung involvement, but she did. She was on the couch having trouble breathing for like a week or so. And she went to the doctor about it, and they told her it just looked like a really bad flu or cold and to take flu medicine. And it went away, but she was laid up for like 2 weeks. It was bad. And if we had access to COVID tests here, we would probably get them. But we're fairly certain that's what we had because that's when it was exploding and going all through a lot of places. So. And I'm a public transit driver. At least that's what I was doing until I'm out of work now. But so I was exposed to people from the airport and all over the place. So that's probably the vector through which we got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite funny actually because literally the day before I started feeling iffy, I'd went over to my it's the classic sort of like Chinese whispers of like an infection almost. I'd went round to my friend's house. And we'd been talking, and he joked about, I think he joked like, oh, me and his other friend had gone through the Chinatown in Newcastle the day before that, and then literally days later, after having met with him, I'm feeling horrible and I'm laid in bed for a week.
No. Oh no!
So it's like it's an interesting Chinese whispers of me just managing to get it. That is assuming that was where it came from, because I mean, I don't know if it follows the general rule of it has to incubate for a while of like it being asymptomatic and then you feel sick?
AD,
or we don't know.
AD, I don't know if you want to say where you live in America or not, but have you been around anybody that's had it?
No. One of my family members says that someone else tested positive in the workplace, but then tested negative for it later, and then came back to work. It was weird. All I know is that around here they've been shoving people with COVID or something in old people homes, and to get the numbers up for the deaths.
Yeah, that's another thing that makes me angry. Like, there have been many testimonials on radio, on social media, even interviews, person-to-person interviews that local journalists have done in California and New York, where people that work in morgues, people that work in mortuaries, people that work preparing bodies, that work with certificates of death, they talk about so many cases that are marked COVID death never even got a COVID test. It's just assumed they had COVID when they died. Some people that test positive for the COVID markers post-mortem. Even people that died from accidents, people that died from other health complications are being flagged as COVID deaths just to pad the numbers, just to get the federal funding, or, in my opinion, just to fuel the narrative. There are hundreds, literal hundreds of interviews, clips from radio shows of people that work in this talking about this, trying to expose it. Media doesn't cover it. Not a fucking peep from anywhere in the media about this. It's insane.
I think we had our health secretary, Matt Hancock, that prick. I'm not in a happy mood with Matt Hancock. I am. Oh, he's.
Yeah,
I'm going to share a BitChute channel.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a really great man named Dave who runs a big channel called Computing Forever that I like a lot, and he has an excellent series of videos and interviews specifically about the COVID hoaxes and the cover-up of real COVID data on his BitChute channel. So I'm going to share that for everyone. Most of the things I'm talking about right now, I have gathered from just listening to his hours and hours of streams with professionals where they share information and share clips of radio shows and stuff that talk about this. Dave Cullen, that's his name. Thank you, Jarl. And hello, I believe Jarl is here from the Netherlands, if I remember correctly.
Another person
thank you for joining us from such a long way away, Jarl. Or Jarj, sorry, Jarj. I don't know how to speak that kind of language. Forgive me.
Hey, Yizz.
Hey, what?
There's something you failed to understand about the COVID information.
Uh-oh, what's that?
It was a COVID-related shooting, Yizz. The bullets were laced with COVID.
Jesus.
Yeah, high-capacity virus. That's what we're talking about.
That's what you don't understand, you walking advertisement.
So, is there anything else UK related that you would like to talk about in regards to any of the topics that we have here, since you're on the chat with us today, Zinchan?
I will admit I've wanted to, air out my opinions on Boris during this entire matter, because I've been flip-flopping back and forth on what I think about him.
Yeah, me too. Like, in some ways, I think he's done a lot of good, and then I'm like, wait a minute. He's not putting his money where his mouth is, so to speak.
Okay, so here's my... I'll DM you this, because I DM'd it to Dev as well.
Sure.
But I kind of did what I could to make a timeline of the sort of everything that's happened. Where have I put it? It's somewhere. I'll dig it up. But I actually...
It doesn't matter. We can talk about it later. But yeah, just go ahead and talk on it.
Found it. There we go. But yes, so basically, at first it seemed like he wanted to go with Sweden's route, which was, look, let's keep the older folks at home. The rest of us, I mean, he never announced this. It was effectively leaked by someone that this was a plan being talked about. And then he was asked about it on a radio show. And he just sort of went, well, we know we have no announcements yet. We wouldn't want to take any extremes. Was basically, he sort of waved it off. But the thing about Boris is that are you aware of how much of a hard-on the left have for hating him?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I do what I can to follow UK goings on, so I'm not as much in the dark as most Americans.
Yeah. Well, he's effectively the British Trump in that he says anything,
And every
the entirety of the left
week,
wakes up and says
every
you're
week I
gonna-
follow all of the academic agents cartel. I follow the A stream, the B stream, and the C stream. I listen to Rose of Dawn stream, and I stay pretty connected to the goings on of the UK in general.
I struggle with that. I have like 50. I have like 5 streams a day that I need to go through, and it's just like, oh god, 2 of them are going at once. I can't.
No, I've gotten pretty good at listening to 2 streams at once. It takes practice. You can get used to it.
Oh blimey. But yeah, so basically he even slightly suggested that it was possible that he could do this. The Twitter went insane. How dare you? You will kill us. You are going to murder us. You'll murder us all. It was mental. And see, it's my opinion that pushed him away from it. Oh, it appears our fellow guest is gone.
No, it's good.
Okay.
He'll come back. He fades in and out.
All right. Yeah. From what I can see, he seems to have been discouraged from it by just because like again, it's hard to sort of like get a grasp of what the sort of the British opinion is, like the mass opinion. If you just looked at us from sort of like what you see of us from the outside, you'd think that we despise Boris and all that. But I mean, he just won a massive majority in the last election, so I think Britain has a powerful silent majority, which is a pain because we don't know what they're doing and we don't know what their opinions are on things, and it's why I'd rather like them to speak up occasionally.
That's one of the things that I hate about the current political landscape. My deep dive into studying politics the last 5 years, it's taught me something about the politicians we've had for the last 30 or 40 years. The left are disingenuous, manipulative liars with no soul, and the right seem to be greedy cowards with no spine. That seems to be a truism about our 2 sides of politics, and it's disgusting that the people who supposedly were conservatives and the people and wanted to safeguard our values and our state, and then the left who supposedly cared about the little guy and the minorities, neither of them cared about shit. All they cared about was their own power mongering and their own riches, and look where we are today. We've been completely smashed and destroyed, and our souls hollowed out, and our family values destroyed, and our state crumbling because of this neocon, neolib disaster. That's why we need new everything. We got to get rid of the old, out with the old, in with the new. That's why I'm a big proponent for a nationalist uprising. Non-violent, by the way. I'm not talking about violence and shooting people.
I know.
I'm talking about a unified, loud voice and people finally putting their foot down and saying no. No to this COVID insanity. No to this woke insanity. No to this BLM insanity. This is all Marxism, or this is all heartless, greedy capitalism, multinational corporate crap. We got to cut all this out. People have to put their foot down, speak loudly, because there are millions of us, and we all have social media. We all have smartphones now. All we have to do is just start speaking and saying no to this insanity, and it will stop. And that's why I'm being so vocal about my activism these days, because I'm finally seeing us having the cathedral on the ropes. I'm finally seeing us having these corporate lobbyist, corporatist, neocon assholes on the ropes. And we need to keep pushing. We got to knock these idiots out of the ring. And that's what I think that we're all doing. That's why going free is so important. That's why community streams like this are so important. We have to start unifying our people and letting everybody know that their ideas and their thoughts are aligned. And if we all speak up, we will be safe because we will have strength in numbers. And I'll pass it back.
Yeah.
Yizz. I understand you weren't Fed posting, but be careful if you Fed post. I work for UNATCO. Also, also, you will be getting your chip.
Well, I was just about to say, like, I think you can at least have confidence in England, because before the December election, we were bombarded. And I do mean bombarded with Boris is a terrible person. Boris is a racist. Boris, did you see even half of that stuff? It was insane. and so much of it taken out of context as well, which is hilarious. Like one of the, if you ever hear the one famous one they love to trot out is, oh, Boris compared women wearing hijabs to letterboxes, and then they leave out the fact that he then follows that up by saying, but I completely support their right to do it because that's the kind of country we live in. I can mock them for wearing whatever they like, but they can wear whatever they like, which is why I was so shocked by his like sort of locking down of the country, because it seemed so counter to his own beliefs. I think that I think he's
that goes back to the spinelessness and the cowardice of the right. They will act like they're going to stand on values, but they don't. They fold like a damn card table. Whenever push comes to shove, they'll fold. They'll fold to the Muslims. They'll fold to the globalists. They'll fold to whoever is going to smear them or call them names. They won't stand up, and they won't take the name calling. It's infuriating. That's why we need new politicians. Drain the fucking swamp.
They are very spineless. Once again, I'm going into almost like the deep lore of British politics conversation. But are you aware of the crumbling of UKIP that occurred last year?
Yeah. But I don't want to get into the minutiae of that because most people here won't care, and I don't really care either.
Well, it's topical to what you were saying because it's about like sort of attempting to get a movement. I was in there. I still am technically. I'm clinging to it. But
I wouldn't if I were you. But go on.
No. I cling to it because if we all leave, what's left? That's my opinion. Everyone bailed from it because
Patriot Alternative, my friend. That's where you could go instead.
I have been hearing Alternative. Yeah. I'll admit I am going to let my current year of it run out, and I'll see what happens by the end of it. I want to see what Jared Barton does, to be honest, because he's been very spicy on Twitter. He appears to have completely lost care, and I love it. And he will always be my dear leader, quite frankly, because...
All right. No, I like him a lot. I follow him on Twitter.
I love him.
I wish he would get more active on Parler, because he would be great on Parler.
Yes, I wish he'd just get himself out into the limelight a bit more, like, you know, get himself a YouTube channel, maybe collab with Sargon a bit more. The amount of the following they pulled, I think that was the beginning. That was the beginning of what you're wanting could have been. I know, but it was handled terribly. Like they needed to be led by people like me or people that actually get what's going on and can be a good voice for people. But instead, we got these old idiots that care about not being called ugly words by the media. I don't give a shit. I think normal people don't give a shit either. If anything, being labeled with all these anti-white slurs like neo-Nazi and bigot and white supremacist and all that mess, like, if anything, I think a normal person says, oh, hey, if the media calls you all that stuff, you must be all right because they call me that too. Yeah. Well, it's insane because, like, again, I don't. A lot of people say, "Oh, UKIP crumbled from within." No. We had effectively a stake jabbed in us from above, and we cracked from it because most of the people who left UKIP was because of people who were pissed that they kicked Jared Barton. We had a massively powerful, like, majority of people who liked what he was doing. His successor, Richard Brain, was voted in with a huge majority. Like, we had, I think it was you pick two options, and he had something like 60%. And he had basically said, I'm going to do everything that Brain wanted again. But then the sort of like the people behind the curtain just sort of went, nope.
Let me talk for a minute. I want to steal it back from you.
Go.
One of the things I wanted to rant about this week that we hadn't got to yet, which was going to come with the politics and all the bullshit about America, I'll go ahead and talk about it now, is I hate how I brought up the cowardice and the spinelessness directly tied to what you were talking about with the attack from UKIP and how Boris Johnson will say one thing and then cave and do another. It makes me mad that we have all these politicians in America, especially the shitty, spineless conservatives, that won't put their foot down and say, listen up, all you mouthy queers. Listen up, all of you complaining POC, you BAME demanding spoiled children. Where else in the fucking world would they even let you march up and down the street shaking dildos, letting you have cross-dressing children stripping in front of adults? Where else in the world would they let you speak your Marxist nonsense out in the open and not line you up against a fucking wall and shoot you? Where else in the world Is anyone as good to you as the white men of the West? Like, they want to blame us for slavery and oppression. We fucking created the goddamn modern world. We created the protections of freedoms and the liberties of thought and speech that even allows you to exist, to speak your nonsense. And you're going to turn on us and bite the hand that feeds and act like we're the villains? What about the people that ended slavery, that gave us women's suffrage, that gave us civil rights? It was almost 100% white Western men in places of power. The evil patriarchy are the very ones that gave you a hand up and said, here, we are going to stand on our ethics, our Christian values, the English liberal values we believe in that made the West great, that forged the modern world. And then you have the gall to spit in our faces and call us evil monsters and neo-Nazis and shit. That flies all over me. And not a single goddamn politician will put their foot down and say what I just said. And if they would, they'd be president. Hell, they'd even be emperor. And that's what I think that our movement needs to be about, is making people face the music, making people stand on the truth that we all know that everyone's afraid to speak. The elephant in the room is the extreme Muslim with the knife, is the violent gang led by Antifa or Black Lives Matter. It's the Marxist professor that'll give you an F. It's your leftist ideologue at your corporation who's your diversity officer that's going to witch hunt you if you say the wrong thing. These are what people are afraid of, but they're nothing. They're nothing if we would all unify and say no and treat them like the spoiled idiot children they are that are biting the hand that feeds. And that just flies all over me, and it's made me so mad this week, just seeing how fucking cucked everybody is. And if we would all stand up together and say no, this lunacy would end. And I'll pass it back.
Yeah, I agree with the lunacy ending, but did you know that a large percentage of the American Negro population isn't even 100% black? Like, they're also the slave owner. Like,
well, don't get me started on that. Like, I don't like getting started on who's racially pure and who isn't. That's just an ugly spiral to go down. Like, that doesn't matter. Because you're going to end up saying, oh, well, look at this person. He's 10% Jewish, and this person's 10% Asian. So where do they belong? How do you categorize them? I don't like going down that road. That's why I like Jason Kuna's archetype of the West. Everyone of any type can be and can align to the archetype of the West and be white positive. Anyone of any religion or color or gender or whatever, if you believe in the value of the West that Europeans have built, you can be in alignment with that and work towards white Western well-being. And that's what we should all focus on and not get caught up on religion and race and everything. We should focus on that because that archetype worked. That built what we have now, and we can build even better towards the future. So that's what we all should align around is the archetype of Western kind instead of nitpicking over racial differences or religious stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why I always try and like focus on sort of like saying like, you know, the West is a good thing. You know, I try not to like sort of. I know you always flag yourself as like oh, you're white positive and all that. And I'm like I like West. The West is dope.
And that's fine. Like that, it's because of the damage that's been done to us. Because of the mind cancer or the mean pathogens, as Jason says it, the mind poison that has riddled us all with this anti-white narrative, white guilt. It makes the word white, when you're speaking about it positively as a self-identifying word, it makes it stick in your throat because you feel like it's wrong. You think a Japanese person has trouble with that? You think someone from India has trouble with that? Why the fuck should a European have trouble with that? We created the world that is. The technology, the medicine, the weapons, everything comes from our modern world and the modern trade. 99% of it is because of Europeans. And if anything, we should be the most prideful, boastful people on the planet. And yet we're told we can't be. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, totally. Because I mean, like, and it's most open when we've literally got people marching through our streets shouting "Black Power" and they are lauded by the media.
They're undermining you because they're afraid. You're the people who brought the scientific method to the rest of the world. You conquered it. You know, the weak should fear the strong. But now they're undermining you. They don't want you in power. They want to do. I guess they want to throw their shit around.
And that's the problem.
You're in the way.
We need our leadership in the West to be responsible leaders. not authoritarian, not racial ideologues that want to revive the Third Reich, as much as some of us romanticize that shit. Leave that out. We need people to be good, strong, authoritative leaders, like good parents. If your child is acting up and being demanding, you are a good parent if you correct that behavior, put them in their place, and make them behave. That doesn't mean that you lock them in an extermination camp. That doesn't mean that you line your child up against a wall and shoot them. They act like if any white person or any person in a position of power expects someone to behave, that they call them a neo-Nazi. They call them a fascist. They call them an authoritarian. It is good parenting authoritarian? Is wanting someone to obey the law a fascist? No, of course it's not. And we need people in authority positions to fucking say that, and they don't. That's what disgusts me about our current leadership and the sorry state of the media.
That's the whole point of them calling you a Nazi, is to stop discussion. No, I call you mean name. You stop talking to me.
Yep.
That's the whole point of it, is that there is no discussion. And so it's been working because the politicians don't want to have that discussion. They don't want to get called mean names. They don't want to get slandered. They just want to get paid by whoever's paying for their campaign and, keep getting that money.
A big part of it is definitely money, is lobbyist money and multinational conglomerate money. And again, that's where I get in trouble with the conservatives. A lot of the conservatives are like, oh, well, everything's the left's fault. And I'm like, okay, well, who sold us down the road in the 80s? Who removed 90% of the antitrust and corporatization legislation in the 80s that even sent us down this road of multinational supercorps that control everybody with super PACs and lobbyist money? That certainly wasn't the neolibs. The neocons started that garbage back in the 70s and 80s.
And who is it that just pushed us into a lockdown, which is only going to kill small businesses and strengthen the big businesses?
Yeah, that's everybody together, primarily the conservatives, because look who's in power right now in the UK government. It's the conservatives by a massive majority. And the lockdowns, the insanity around that's hurting small businesses. That's hurting everybody's business. It's ridiculous.
It's throttling them. It's that they literally can't do a thing, and it's horrific. And and the worst part is it's escalating so much further than just temporary guidelines. I'm pretty sure like a lot of this stuff's been pushed into official law at this point. It's bad. It's really bad.
Alex says something good in the chat about consistency. Alex said in the chat, consistency is the best parenting. And that's true. We need consistency from our leaders. Our leaders need to be consistently authoritative. Authoritative is not authoritarian. It means that you behave and speak from a position of knowledge and wisdom, and you do so with confidence and consistency. That's why things have gotten out of hand, is because we've had 50 years of affirmative action and kowtowing and sucking the dick of the diversity goddess, and we're so cucked now that our leaders have grown up in that environment, and they're afraid to say no. They're afraid to be authoritative and say, hey, wait a minute, that's going too far. You can't do that. Because then they get called racist and bigot and all this other anti-white nonsense, and they lose their jobs and they lose their money. But again, this is still only because we let it happen. If enough people would just put their foot down and say no to this, it would end almost overnight. And that's why I think we are gaining such ground this year, and I'm more white-pilled now than I've been in a long time, because I am seeing more and more people, media, government, comedians, politicians, people on Twitter, more and more people are finally pointing out this insanity and saying, no, this is too much, it's too far. So if we keep pushing, I think that we'll finally beat this.
They're waking up
and
from
yes,
the matrix.
like Bill McPherson just said, waking, and like McPherson just said in the chat, the whole FDR New Deal shit. Most of what we're experiencing now can be traced back to that shit. But anyway, I'll pass it back and let you talk.
What was it? The New Deal? What was it when they said that immigration wouldn't change demographics? Because I was gonna say
during the Immigration Act of the 60s.
Yeah.
I think
I was gonna say like bringing in these people, like they're essentially voters for the left. But I think it's good that they're destroying the cities right now, not the immigrants themselves, but these riots destroying the city, offing each other. It might scare away migrants or refugees or whatever. It might scare away more outsiders, because who wants to go in to live in this leftist city where they want you if they're burning it to the ground? Like, hey.
And speaking of politics and demographic change, you should definitely check out my short video called "The Multiculturalism Question." That specific one is a good short that specifically addresses the damage that the Immigration Act and the last 2 generations of rapid demographic change has had on the political and social landscape.
I'll
And
nip that in
then-
my queue.
Hey, Gringo, what's with the fires in the city? I thought it was nice.
And
What video?
secondly,
Oh, you've just linked it. There we go.
yeah, and secondly, there's another video that goes along with this one. It was my last big deep double analysis called Ethnicity in Politics and a Case for Nationalism, which I will also link. This one is longer but more professionally done with lots of jokes and other clips and stuff. But it's a nice long breakdown of exactly why demographic change and the villainization of the word nationalism is all part of the Overton window shift, and why we have become under attack like never before. And then the second half of the video is what we can do about it in a positive way. So the first video is a nice little short to just sort of wet your whistle, so to speak, about the multiculturalism question. And then that second link, the deep double analysis, is my long form video about the hows and whys of what we can do about it.
Yeah, there was one thing I want to say about Alex's little comment earlier about consistency is the best parenting. Yes, maybe that would explain to a lot of people why the left are such bad parents. Because if there's one thing the left don't have, it's consistency. They are infinitely hypocritical. They will constantly bend whatever. It's
And I can sum it all up in one easy sentence, in one easy question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. If Caitlyn Jenner is allowed to be a woman, why isn't Rachel Dolezal allowed to be black?
Yes.
That alone completely sums up the absolute state of leftism.
I have a question. Like, why can't I identify as a ghost, and the police have to pretend they can't see me? So, like, when I commit crime, or
good.
like,
That's pretty good. I've not heard that one before. That's good.
I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a personal fan of just the fairly open and shut. Who's the one who's bringing back segregation?
Yeah, exactly. Have you heard about this going on in California, by the way?
Yes. Yes.
It's called the Affirmative
God.
Action Bill. It's basically what it's doing is it's striking from California law the clause that says they're not allowed to discriminate with state law based on race, sex, religion, and a couple of other things.
And we all know why they're doing that.
This is being billed as an affirmative action case, an affirmative action legislation. Do you know why it's called that? I'm just curious.
Because they're going to discriminate on whites, basically.
Exactly, because affirmative action means taking away from whites to give to non-whites. That's what affirmative action means. And so they want the ability to directly legislate against whites in California. And they're calling it affirmative action. Like, it's absolutely insane. And the media is not covering this accurately. They're covering it with the leftist spin. And it's insane. It's almost hard to believe that they're so blatant with this shit. But like Yuri Bezmenov said 40 years ago, they're out in the open with it.
There's one thing I want to say, actually. Did you want to say something? Or?
Well, I just wanted to take one more shit post about when we were talking about I identify as. I've gotten arrested on weapon possession. I identify as a ghost guard. If you could just look that way and pretend I'm not here so I can leave. Thank you. Yep, I identify as a ghost. What the fuck? You identify as ghost? You're a ghost flow. Oh, okay, never mind. Right this way, sir. I mean, I don't see you. La 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 la.
Oh well, there's always the classic of, oh, you have male privilege, then why don't you just identify as a man? But what I want to say is, like, affirmative action really draws it, because I believe that one of the things that is genuinely crippled, and this isn't, I don't think that, I suppose it's technically a left-wing thing, but I try and like view these things as more, what is the actual problem, not who's making the problem. I think that the growth of benefits as a cult, as a sort of a thing, has genuinely, like, benefits is what I refer to as diet communism, because it basically is like it allows people to sit back, not do anything, and be rewarded for it, and that's what they think communism will one day be, and it encourages it, and it's terrifying. Have you heard of like the sort of like the families where it's basically a mother who just pumps out children end after end because she knows that the paycheck at the end of the month will be bigger the more kids she has? It's horrific. These people always end up being the most fucked up people, and a culture like the benefit system that we have in the West. Sorry,
Exactly.
It just feeds into it, and it's horrendous. And it's why I think it was when I encountered someone like this. I won't go into details, but I met someone who is related to a child of one of these people, and these people are just. I don't want to say any more, but all I'm saying is these people are monsters, and this kind of culture feeds it.
Yes,
it's horrific.
Exactly,
People,
and that's one of the reasons that we have the problem. That's one of the reasons we have problem with angry black mobs and angry black people that can be weaponized by those who will manipulate them in America. Is when you go back 70 or 80 years, you go back to the dawn of the New Deal, the dawn of affirmative action, and all this other shit. In America, blacks who had only been freed from slavery for a couple of generations, they had high family values, high community trust, they had high Christian values, they worked together in tight-knit communities, they had strong fatherhood, they had strong family bonds, even more so than whites in most states. And then affirmative action, gerrymandering, the ghettoification of cities, the gerrymandering and corporate shuffling of blacks into negative or poorer community areas, then offering them government handouts. That was the dawn of the so-called the Democrat slave plantation. And that almost immediately presaged the destruction of black family values, the massive, massive decline in married couples having children of blacks, massive increase in black gangs, black violence. Like it is. I don't like to blame everything on Marxism, but the concepts around institutionalized leftism are so endemic to the cultural, spiritual rot that we have been experiencing for generations in the West. And it hit American blacks harder than it hit almost anyone else in North America. It's very obvious to see.
Yeah, I'm actually a black, and what I don't like to see with cities is like they trying to turn the Negroes into their children, which is like disgusting. But for the riots,
it's infantilizing.
Yeah, like the riots, it started off with like weaponizing the Negro population, but now it's a lot of white boys like LARPing. They're less violent now, and they're kind of scaredy cats, but they are using lasers to blind the police. Like, if you point that laser at me,
I heard about that. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry. Did you just say they're less violent? Didn't they literally just throw a bomb at the courthouse 2 nights ago?
Sorry, you're right. You're right. What I meant is they're less ooga booga. I'm gonna hit you. They're less violent with their fists, more violent with boom boom. My bad.
I heard something, which is that they've literally just been throwing mortars. Now that's insane. That's
well
statistically.
Right.
I know you're half joking with all you just said, AD, but statistically, violent crime of all kinds, even gang crime, has been steadily going down for decades. But the few places that crime isn't going down, it's getting worse. And that, of course, are these cancerous leftist cities that have been ran into the ground by Democratic majorities for the last 30 years. Detroit, Chicago. LA, Seattle, New York. These places are just cesspits of failed programs, and their only answer is to throw more money at it and blame somebody else by calling them racist. And look where that's gotten them. Their cities are being burnt to the ground, and the very black people that they say they care about are having their entire communities and lives literally burnt to the ground.
Oh,
that's why I think Americans are finally going to put their foot down and say enough of this.
Oh, BLM, yeah, Black Lives Matter. I think you'll notice that when they said Black Lives Matter, they're talking about their KD, their kill-death ratio. So they're only killing blacks because those are the only lives that matter.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said it wrong. I'm sorry. It's pronounced burn, loot, murder. Thank you very much.
Yeah, burn, loot, murder. That's it. Yeah.
Also, I don't think they're mortaring them yet. If they're mortaring them, I think that the building would be like crumbling.
No. I've been specifically told that they are throwing handheld mortars. Now,
it's not. No, we call those soy bombs. Soy bombs are low-yield explosives made with firework powder and other makeshift devices. Right. They're not even lethal like IEDs. The reason we call them soy bombs is, of course, because they're associated with Antifa. Now, they can burn you and damage your eyes or even permanently blind you, but the real fear is just them starting fires catching buildings on fire, catching your clothing on fire, that kind of thing. They're not lethal kill you explosives like IEDs or grenades. So don't
And
think
No shrapnel then.
And the intimidation
well,
factor as well.
minor amounts of shrapnel, but not like the lethal cut you apart kind, like a frag grenade or anything.
So they didn't like wrap it in fucking duct tape and nails and shit.
I did see a picture of one of those.
Maybe a few places, but that's not the norm from the daily reports I get from people like Andy No that are on the ground showing us stuff.
Yeah.
And Sophia Narwitz is a tranny I follow, and she did a lot of good on the ground Minnesota stuff when the riots really kicked off. And the rioters there, they were getting weapons and supplies from Antifa, but it wasn't anything ridiculously lethal like shrapnel grenades. It was just cheap little soy bombs and makeshift Molotov cocktails for starting fires.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard they even did those wrong. Like they did the Hollywood Molotov where they teach you to burn yourself.
Yeah, where they put too much liquid in it. Yeah.
No, it's that's not the traditional way to do it. You put the cap on, all right. The liquid's inside, the cap is sealed, and the spark is on the outside,
Of course, because you don't want it catching fire until it shatters.
Yeah, like that's the World War II way to do it. Like the sparkler's on the outside. When it breaks, it gets to the sparkler, whatever, the fuse, and then it sets on fire. That was like the Russians. They learned that.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, I keep up to date.
And yeah,
with,
like Vex accurately pointed out in the chat, it's incorrect to call them mortars. A mortar is a very specific type of small ordnance that's troop portable. So it's the things these soy bombs they're chucking are definitely not mortars. So.
Yeah, like what I was thinking.
You're hearing it wrong unless it's taken on a meaning that I've never heard. Mortar is an actual type of small yield military shell.
What I was thinking, my dude, is you drop it in a tube, it goes off. You're like, nope, 20 clicks left, and then they're like, eventually they're just slamming the building with like, boom. All right, you're on target.
Mortars don't go 20 clicks, my friend. Mortars are much shorter.
I don't know, man. I don't know what clicks are.
A click is a kilometer.
Okay.
I watched mortars like in World War II. I believe is when those became most popular. The mortar tubes, they're only for going like a mile. They're short-range parabolic explosives. They don't go that far.
Well, I watched Tim Pool's stream. It starts at 1
Good old teeny beanie.
Yeah, I like my beanie boy.
Me too.
He always has updates on Portland, especially he streams it every night in. I don't know what time it is for you, but half an hour. It'd be about 4.5 hours from now. He streams every night. It's the same time as Game Boomers, which is a pain in the ass because that's what I'm trying to relax after the day. And then Tim Pool's like, guys, it's getting worse, and I'm like, oh. But he regularly uses the term mortars, so he must be incorrect on that. But that's what he is my source essentially for.
Of course, no. A lot of people might use the word mortar, but I think they're just using it colloquially to mean small scale troop portable explosive. But to me, a mortar is a actual machined military explosive that these people definitely don't have, or we would hear about it because that would be horrific.
They'd be slamming the building; it would be crumbling. The police would be shooting using live rounds at that point. Like you do that, it's on like Donkey Kong. I'm expecting the Apache to be in the air.
Yeah, if some idiot actually showed up with a real mortar shell and mortar shelled a building or blew up, a dozen police with a mortar shell.
Yeah, we'd know it.
We would definitely know that. There's no way to keep that quiet. Like we would know that almost immediately.
Fair enough. I was about to say, do we want to try and steer into a bit of white pilling here? Maybe talk about
Of course.
Yeah,
of course, sure.
Actually, I had something that I was hoping to talk about as well.
I also have a white pill top I was going to close with, but we'll do yours first, then we'll close with mine.
It's weird. I thought they were good. I thought these events were good because the left's destroying themselves. But go on.
The problem, I believe I said this to a friend of mine recently, is the problem with a dog-eat-dog fight is that a lot of people get caught in the crossfire. Even if they end up just blowing themselves up, a lot of us are going to get burned too, which is a shame. But I wanted to talk about maybe instead of saying this is what's currently bad, let's maybe try and talk about effort, things to sort of make an effort to improve and what people should try and do. And one thing I think we really need to foster in the generation coming, the Zoomers especially, is owning homes. Because I think rent culture is such I know the word problematic is used by the left, but it is a genuine. It's a
No, it
genuine
genuinely
issue
is, right.
that it affects people.
Because if you don't own property, if you don't own property, you can't be invested. And if you're not invested, you can't have a good family that you teach good values for them to care about the area. And if you can't have those two things, you can't create an invested, well-rounded, valued next generation to carry on. If everyone's just a disheveled, propertyless minion of these global corps and governments, then nobody has anything, and the people that have the power are the ones that control everything instead of the people controlling things.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to, because I remember like hearing about people who've like, oh, I don't ever want to own a house. Like, why would you not want to own a house? That's the end
best
goal
thing
of
you
life.
can do with your money.
I honestly want to own a house, and then I want to armor it up to make it a castle. Like,
oh, I'm the opposite. I want a cozy house with a nice little study. I want literally just a library with a big oak desk, and just be like, yes, this is my room.
That sounds beautiful, but I mean, I would have that as well. But the point is, like, replace the glass in the windows with something that's at least like bullet resistant. Make it so you can't shoot into the building. Like the outside, it'd be like has a shell, like an ectoskeleton from my house.
Nice. But yeah, I think that's something we need to encourage. The problem is it's just a numbers game, especially in the UK. There's just too many of us. We can't all own houses because there's too many of us. You know?
Yeah, that's another problem with overpopulation and mass migration. If you look on a chart at the population growth alone, not counting demographics at all, just overpopulation, just the population itself. Massive overpopulation has been destroying property values. It's been overstressing all public service departments in major cities and all across the West. And it's because of this awful Keynesian economics garbage, because of the neocon, neolib disasters of the last 50 years. It's terrible, and it needs to end. That's why I went on my rant earlier about all the shit that I ranted about, is because of that. It's purposefully disenfranchising us by making normal people unable to actually invest in creating a new business, in owning a home or two, in creating a large family. Like, who do you know that even has a good job that makes 40 or 50 grand a year that can afford to say, I want to have a stay-at-home mom and raise 3 kids? Who the fuck can afford that anymore?
Oh, it's impossible. You know, like, I again, difference between America and England, there's, you know, when you say, what was it, 40, 50 grand, that's dollars. So what was that?
Yeah, exactly.
20 grand.
Let's say even if you made 100,000 euros a year, right? Or 100,000 pounds, 100,000 pounds a year in England. How could you afford to own your own home, have a stay-at-home mother, and raise 3 children in London? You couldn't afford to do it on 100 grand a year.
Oh, London's not a part of the UK. Don't associate us with them, please.
As they say in London, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nah, they say, come here, man, and then they stab you. People, like, I don't think...
No, they stab you and tell you to pay for their housing and their health care.
From what I understand of London's stabbing issues, it's much more of a gang thing, similar to Chicago. I don't think it's religious at all. At least from my understanding.
I think that it's only religious, like the Marxism of the West is racial.
Oh, yeah.
You have people that want to use gullible, violent, low IQ people from bad situations or bad countries to cause public unrest and to create a revolution for whoever controls these violent, low IQ radicals. It's the same game no matter what skin is on it or what religion's on it. However, that being said, race and religion are very important components to a nation. And that's why I have gotten onto the demographic change bandwagon, because religion and race matter. They're very important ingredients to what makes a society. And if you have a massive influx of people that directly conflict with the race or the religion of the host population, you get immediate disaster, as we've seen in all the multicultural areas of the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Aren't your what are they, migrants from? Is it rude to call them from the third world?
No, they are. Yeah.
No, I mean,
yeah, like, aren't they? They have like less skills that are compatible with your civilization, and
I mean,
and because of that, maybe resort to crime.
That's the well.
It's not
I
that. It's that
wouldn't
they
know.
are
That's the
brought here in large numbers in a short amount of time, and they aren't forced to integrate. I made a
Mhm.
really good morning walk about this recently, called "The Archetype of the West," where if you have a mostly homogenous society that is mostly the same race, mostly the same cultural norms, mostly the same religion, whatever, you can have a small amount of people come in each year that are forced to integrate. They're forced to have your values, forced to have your language. And I don't mean at gunpoint, nothing crazy like that. I'm talking about the way immigration used to work. Like, let's turn it back 100 years. If you were a person from one society and wanted to move halfway around the world to another radically different society, like in 1880, I couldn't have gone to Japan or China and just been accepted as what I was. I would be forced. I would be socially ostracized unless I learned to speak the language well, unless I learned the local religion, unless I learned the local customs, unless I was willing to marry an ethnically local person. I would not be accepted as part of that. I was socially forced to adapt and to become part of that archetype. We
Yeah.
have lost that in the West. Mass migration, the decay from feminism and Marxism and all this other bullshit that have been hollowing us out for the last 80 years. We don't have any natural systems in place to force people to conform to the archetype of the West anymore. That's what no white guilt and going free is all about. That's why we use the phrase reclaiming our destiny, is we need to be in control of our social and ethical norms of our society. If people are going to come in, or people that are already here that aren't part of the archetype of the West, they need to be part of that archetype or it's all going to crumble. That's why it's so important to spread these kind of ideas around and get everybody sort of being vocal about this so we can actually get some kind of national unity again and work towards a common goal.
Yeah. See, I just it's the case of like everyone. I think everyone deserves a fair shake. You know.
No, they don't. No, that's stinking thinking. No, they don't. It's not your responsibility to offer everybody from the third world a fair shake in the beautiful, wonderful society that your ancestors fought and died for.
You misunderstand. I think that.
Okay, perhaps I do. Forgive me.
What I meant was, if someone is being born into my country, I believe that they should get a fair shake, which is why I hate the fact that there are people who are being born right now who are going to grow up and they are going to be so utterly over, like they will have such a low chance of getting an amazing job. Yes, like I can.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way about young people being born now in these horrible, decaying cities. They're going to grow up hating America and hating the people that gave them the good way of life. It's sad.
I have one question too. What's their IQ?
But like, you know, I see that there's a lot of, you know, you end up sort of like, one thing I've noticed is that you end up in the sort of, I don't want to say right wing, but the sort of the anti modern communities, you know, like you were insulting the right wing earlier, you insulting the left wing. You don't really consider yourself to be entirely in either. You just reject the sort of like the current state of things. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to describe what the current sort of like grouping is of the people who will call this shit out. You know, what used to be called the skeptics like a couple years ago. But you sort of you end up in like sort of like circles of this. You see like a lot of things like oh, you know, the minimum wage ruined things. It's like, well, I mean, shouldn't a minimum wage be enough for someone to live? And I'm not saying that minimum wage should be raised. I think that someone should be able to live off that minimum wage. And if it isn't, there is something wrong. But I'm not just going to say pay the money. I'm not just going to say pay the money. I think that the problem is there's too many of us here.
Exactly. That's the problem. Is our population has dramatically overshot where economic and social growth was headed. Yeah. That's the problem.
I think that if someone wants to work at minimum wage and they just want to put the hours in, even if they're not getting paid much per hour, they should be able to earn a life off of that. But like the way in the modern day, it's near impossible because sorry, what
I was gonna. All I was gonna say is the way I see that working is that you're working this minimum wage while you still live with your parents if they're alive, and maybe you gain some more valuable skills over time.
I guess, but like, I mean, so you're always going to need shopkeepers. You're always going to need like sort of just people who are like sort of doing the small jobs. And I think if someone wants to just put their effort into being as good as that as they can, and I think they should be able to sort of like just be able to live their quiet life, even if it's not an extravagant life. I think that everyone.
Okay, well, let me wax intellectual here for a moment, because I actually can do that. I actually do know a lot of shit. The problem is the Mass Migration Act that happened in the 60s in America was specifically because the birth of neoconservatism was due to the Keynesian policies, the Keynesian economics that said, oh shit, look, we have a population that's having fewer children because of technological advancement, because of the wealth and the prosperity of America, because of how things are going with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We cannot maintain the necessary forced gradual growth of GDP, property values, the value of oil, etc., with this population because of all these factors. How can we fix it, and how can we make this horrible house of cards known as Keynesian economics and the industrial military complex function? We need more warm bodies. We need bodies. We need people here to drive up the price of housing, which is directly tied to the price of oil, which is directly tied to the value of the American dollar, which is directly exploited by the Fed via quantitative easing and speculative wealth to make the house of cards function, and only is in service to the mega wealthy elite and the rich multinational corporations. That is why we're in the pickle we're in today economically. Now, the reason I avoid those kind of topics is it takes hours of studying videos and reading shit to even know what the fuck half of what I said is. That's why I don't like talking about this stuff, because you lose most viewers, and most people can't care about that obtuse shit anyway. That's why I try to stick to more grounded, basic topics and emotional messages.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of Keynesian economics, but I fail to have a full grasp of what it is.
I don't understand economics whatsoever. I kind of just shrug my shoulders and say, look, I focus on the like social aspects of things. That's what I care about. I'll admit I'm not the most intelligent. I can't follow economics because there's just so much to follow. But I'm just
sharing two channels in the chat right now. They are both absolutely excellent channels with great videos, especially Academic Agent. He has a good series called Econ Shorts, which explain a lot of what I just talked about. And he also has a really good series called Boomer Truth Regime, which talks about the political stuff around the Keynesian problem. So definitely check out both of those video series by Academic Agent. And Radical Liberation, we call him Radlib. He has a lot of excellent long-form discussion videos about the military-industrial complex, about Keynesian economics and how it fails, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it's. Remember when we were trying to white pill and look at the positives?
Oh yes, let's get back to doing that. I'm sorry.
That was the idea, wasn't it?
Yeah. I believe that as we move forward, we need to focus on people like owning homes. Was the point I'd started with. I believe people should focus on owning homes, and because of that, forming communities. I think people need to be able to know their neighbor, which so many people these days. I go, you know what? I'm actually, let's look at the chat. How many of you guys can say that you know your next door neighbors, like on a first name basis, or like,
Oh yeah.
Do people? I don't. I
kind of do.
I've
met a couple of them.
It's a sort of I don't know, maybe it's where I live, but I think the only person in my local community I know is the lollipop lady. And that's just from occasional walk paths when taking my younger siblings to school. That's it. I don't know anyone. It's obviously I can't really start now.
Now, any of you in chat that have pressed 1, do you live in a big city? Press 7 if you live in a big city, and you also pressed 1 earlier. I bet no one presses 7, because if you live in a big city, it's almost impossible to have any community at all. Oh, Troll does. Okay. Oh, Troll and Dragonfats both do. Okay.
Hey, and see, I saw Dragonfat say earlier, they're a homeowner. Taps knows. Yeah, community spirit. Community spirit.
Okay. Those
of
you that do live in big metro areas that pressed 7, do you own your own home and live in a gated or wealthy community? I'm curious to know. Because it seems like unless you have access to a structured community like that, it's almost impossible to have community.
I think home ownership is something that, the sort of people need to talk about more, because it's
Yeah,
important,
definitely.
and it gets passed over so easily. And we are effectively like, children are being taught nowadays, look, it's not going to happen. You're not going to own a home, basically.
Oh,
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I recently got I recently had to go for a council house because it's the best you can do, really. And it's in a tower block. It's just a couple rooms and that's about it. And I'm looking at, and I'm all, it's a start, but like my grandparents were helping me, sort of, they were helping me to find stuff to like, get it sorted. And I'd talked about, so like, it's not what I expected. It's I'd hoped for more. And they kind of just gave me this kind of, well, sometimes you just don't get that kind of stuff. It's like, am I really being told that I have to just accept that I'll never own a home? It's a grim thing.
Yeah.
like no, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't
let's-
worry, Vexus. Don't worry, Vexus. I don't. It won't be a problem. I've got my girlfriend who'll be living with me anyway, so I won't be on my own. And
Good.
I know lots of people online who I have a good culture around me. All I worry, I'll be honest, my main worry is that I'm never going to find a job again because of what's happened with
Oh God.
with this
Well,
stuff. Again, I'm going black pill. We need to stay away from this.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
The one thing I was going to rant about, I won't, is election fraud, mail-in voting. I think that the big cathedral leftist push for COVID was specifically tied to them trying to subvert the election this fall in America, because in the entire Anglosphere, and maybe even in most of the West, Donald Trump is the flagship for fighting the cathedral. And yeah, I know we call him Trumpelstein. I know that he's, led by the nose and all this other shit. I get it. But nobody that's a president in America cannot be in bed with Israel. It's not possible. The military-industrial complex doesn't allow for that. So leaving that aside,
Nobody in
leaving that
America
aside-
can be like up there without rubbing nose with the nose.
yeah, sure. But anyway, that aside, Donald Trump and the whole drain the swamp concept, he's kind of the flagship, the poster child for that. That's why they hate him, because he strikes a chord that all the powers that be don't want struck in the populace. Even if Trumpelstein is a disingenuous piece of crap, he knows what chord to pluck, and they don't want that chord plucked in the populace. So that's what I think that a lot of this COVID inflation nonsense is about, is specifically to try to rattle cages and push for ways that they can control the upcoming election this fall to try to subvert everything, just like they tried to do with Kavanaugh and all this other mess back when it was our other big general election. So I was going to bitch about all that, but instead I would like to turn that into a white pill conversation
Yeah, did you
before
see
we
his
wrap
tweet?
up.
Trump's tweet. He says he's going to delay the thing.
Shush, we're not talking about that. Yeah, I did see it, but that's not for now.
Yeah.
We're almost at the 2-hour mark. We got to wrap things up. So we're going to end on white pill stuff. The election this fall, I believe, from what I see around me, from what I read, from what I listen to, from the people I talk to in normal life, the people I communicate with all across America on the internet, I feel like unless we have some kind of massive fraudulent derailing of all of the states voting, I feel like that the left is going to get crushed at the general election this fall. I feel like there is a giant wave coming that is going to just destroy all of these terrible failing politicians of both the Democrats and the Republicans. And I feel like we're going to have a very powerful, sensible right-wing victory at the voting booth this fall. So that's my white pill. That's my hope. And from all the input that I'm gathering, I feel like we're going to have that unless it's massively derailed. And again, I always hope I plan for the worst, but I hope for the best. So I'm not just being, vapid about all of this. I'm well aware that things could very easily collapse and go terribly wrong, but I'm being hopeful and putting faith in my fellow Americans and fellow Europeans. So I'll have to pass it back to AD and to Zen Chan to let them speak their final piece on this. Check out
American white pill. We still ain't given. the white pill for me, like when they're doing this silly shit in the street, is they have to do those in the cities because guess who didn't give up their weapons? We didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They come down here, they take one look. Oh no, you don't want none of this. They turn
Yeah,
it
and
around.
another thing is like all these asinine BLM people and these college Marxists and these leftist idiots. They don't even know what a farm looks like. They don't know anything about how to make a garden. Like if push comes to shove, if it actually does come to civil unrest, unless we become a military state and the military forces us, it will be a very short period of civil unrest because all of the people that make the food and know how to survive on their own, we are almost all unified in our beliefs. We're almost all white. We're almost all Christian. We're almost all gun owners. And a huge number of us have had military service or have grown up with people who were in the military and know how to hunt and fish and fight if we have to. So I'm not as afraid of some kind of crazy civil war as a lot of people are. I don't even think we're going to get to that point. But if we do, I'm still white-pilled because where our enemies live can easily be sieged and cut off, and they'll collapse in a month, and then it's over. So that's why I'm a little more white-pilled than most people.
Yeah, I will say that as much as the Tim Pool meme of civil war is a thing at the moment, I'll tell you what though, I do not fear a civil war, quite frankly, because if it happens, everything will be fine.
Oh, I'll be fine here in the Appalachian Mountains. I got my own bunker. I got my own arsenal. I can grow my own food. I know everybody in like a 5-mile radius that goes to the gun club, and we shoot fireworks together. Like everything's good here in rural America. We're good. We're good. We don't care if there's a civil war unless the military comes here with tanks and drones. We'll be fine.
Yeah, same. I'm just scared of the Apaches.
Yeah, I mean, so long as we can get through this COVID stuff, I feel like the future's good. It just depends on the coming months and what happens from them and the fallout. But I try to stay hopeful. I do try to stay hopeful, and always try to stay hopeful because there's no point in being miserable about it.
Yeah, it looks good unless they try to push chips next. In that case, I'm kicking their ass.
Yeah, well, this has been a very pleasant conversation. For the listeners here today, I know that I was loud and ranted a lot, but I hope that you enjoyed my passion, and I hope that my language, my words, the meaning therein was well conveyed and well received by all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We're going to pass it to AD, and then we're going to end with Sin Chan. AD, thanks for coming today. Any closing words you have for everybody?
Oh, that's me.
Yes, that's you.
Yes. Sorry, I have autism.
That's
Same,
okay.
my dude.
Well, have a wonderful day, everyone. Make sure to exercise, do your stretches, practice. Punch the punching bag, maybe some shadow boxing. Stay in shape.
And as a person of color, thank you for braving the stream and coming on here with us evil far right people.
Also gay as shit.
Yeah. All right. Zen Chan, thank you for jumping on and adding your UK voice to the mix. Anything you'd like to say in closing, or any channels you'd like to pimp out before you step away?
Well, it's funny you mentioned my UK voice. If you want to hear a bit more of it, me and that friend I mentioned earlier, we actually have a channel where we do some things. I don't use my main channel for reasons of anonymity. It's easier. But I'll just plug that in. I have no relation to the YouTube channel 3 Arrows. I swear to God, it was just a similar name here. YouTube channel 2 Arrows there. If you follow that link, it's not linked properly, but if you copy...
Well, wait.
I don't know.
I'm the only one here that can link in chat. If you'll send it to me, I'll share it.
That is our YouTube channel that we do together. I do the scripting and recording, and then he edits the video. So if there's editing problems, complain to him. If there's scripting or actual problems with the content, come to me. But I've only done a few videos so far because it takes a while. We both work, but we make do. We make do.
All right. Well, Thank you again. And thank all of my wonderful listeners, my loyal Yizraelites, the newcomers that have decided to visit today. I hope that we can all go free together, no matter what color or creed you are. You can be an ally of Western kind. You can align to white well-being, and we can all go free together and build a better future. With that said, goodbye and God bless everyone.
Allah!
Service guaranteed.